ChowDownChou or random gaming, depending on what
Um,
you're watching.
but one thing that I wanted to talk about is I feel like the effects of this pandemic is going to linger for a long time, and it's going to seriously affect how the way our world works after the pandemic. So one very significant one I see is international travel. Like, is it going to be as open as before, and what measures have to be put in place? Does everyone that comes into a country have to be quarantined? Because imagine a country like Taiwan, where very few people have the coronavirus. After everything opens back up, if business travelers from, let's say, the US, a lot of them probably have antibodies of some sort come into the country, how is that response going to be? Like, what are the concerns that bothers you most about what the future would look like?
I think the number one thing is uncertainty. We don't know anything. There
Exactly.
are like designs of airplanes putting plastic barriers. There are designs of airplanes with plastic barriers, and, and every other seat is a different row. So, the window seat is going to be facing towards the plane, towards the cockpit, and then the one in the middle is facing
Mm,
the butt of the plane, the end of the airplane.
yeah.
That's some of the designs that I saw. But actually, traveling is a little bit interesting because back in 1918, during the Spanish flu, it still spread way worse than COVID-19 did without airplanes. That's the interesting point, is that, yeah, we might, since the information is, we know a lot more now.
Yeah.
Well, not much of this know about coronavirus, obviously, but we know
Mm,
more. We know how to plan. We just don't know when to plan and how to plan, how to adapt. And, you know, it's interesting. I think people will be a little bit more hesitant, but we'll see. I can't make a judgment of how post
yeah.
COVID-19 traveling will be, but I will say, um, even right now, there was a doctor flying back from New York from helping over there.
Mm,
He boarded a United flight. It was completely packed. No other seat was filled. Every seat was filled.
yeah.
No social distancing, but there were a lot of masks. Sure.
Yeah. I feel like that's a little not enough. Anyways.
It's just blows my mind that even in the middle of a pandemic, they're not taking these guidelines seriously. And that's how this is how we prolong the pandemic. Stupidity
Yeah, for
and
sure. And yeah.
profits over human lives. So
Okay. Yeah, you gotta get the bash for the big corporations in at the end. But
yeah.
yeah, I think besides traveling, one thing that I see very prevalent is actually higher education and how that would continue. And as an international student myself, what about fellow international students that might go to the U.S. for a better education? Is it going to be allowed? How are visas going to be permitted? I feel like those are all real concerns after the pandemic. And one thing, stuff like sports, concerts, large venue gatherings, I love those things a lot, and I wonder if they're ever going to be the same. Like, you can't, like, how are you going to pack 60,000 people into a football stadium after the pandemic? Like, I don't see any way in doing that. So, we'll see how it goes. So that's definitely a real concern. Baseball games. How are we going to go to the baseball game?
Um, yeah. Well, going back to the higher education point first, this actually coincides with a lot of companies doing what they're doing right now. Is
Breaking up a little
how
bit.
it seems that companies will talk language. So what's the point of hiring people that are going to be on site? There's no point, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that education, there's no point in education. There's always a point in education, but it's more so how a university will decide admission and how, you know, how they'll see a change. Um, I think that, you know, there there is definitely into technology like Zoom that we're using. They're
Yeah.
looking at interfaces. But honestly, to be honest, international students, they can get an education, for example, from Berkeley via Zoom.
Yeah.
But they don't have to pay the dorm fees. They don't have to pay
Mm.
housing fees,
Mm.
food, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm not like a supporter of it. I think being physically in a classroom is a lot better than having Zoom lectures.
Gotcha.
It just takes a lot of the actual classroom elements out of education, and I think that's very important. You need to be in a classroom to learn, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like not just learning the material, but learning how you collaborate with other people,
Yeah.
especially in group projects. Like, and I think I'm a big proponent of networking. Um, so I'm thankful that I have a great network at Berkeley, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I was virtually learning. I would not have that to Rome, and I would have probably
Yeah.
met you.
Yeah, I know.
So
And
yeah,
yeah, a lot of it is about, you know, the experiences, the actual college experience outside of the classroom. Like if you were a new college admit next year, like how are, like, can you even go to a football game? Like can you hang out with people? Do you have to social distancing? Can you imagine going to let's say Triple Rock on a Thursday night? Hello? You hear me?
yeah, I hear you. I hear.
Yeah, can you go? Can you imagine Triple Rock on a Thursday night with social distancing, where everyone has to be 6 feet apart? Yeah, I don't think our world is gonna be the same for a while. Not unless the vaccine is actually a real thing. If there's no permanent cure to this thing, I don't know. It's all uncertain. Like you said, it's all up in the air. But